Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, maybe I should just call the meeting, so to speak, to order, and just say a very few words of welcome. I mean, obviously the University of Buckingham is delighted whenever other institutions and other people take an interest in the university and what happens here and so on, and I'm sure the other way around as well, and we are very happy to welcome you here today to talk about this proposed new development with PhoenixWyeCollege. So I know a lot of you are alumni of PhoenixWye. I know that many of you perhaps have been on the staff and so on, and so I'm delighted to welcome you to Buckingham, and we're going to hear about the proposed venture, and we're going to hear from Len Budd first of all, I think, and who's going to sort of sketch out what this will look like, and well then obviously we can take questions afterwards, but over to you.
Okay, thank you. It's very good to be here, and I thank you for your welcome, Martin. Can I first introduce our committee members of PhoenixWyeCollege? Vice Chairman Ian Lane, Secretary Charles Adams, who's organising this day and also not only doing that but also taking the photographs. Penny Castle, who's our Treasurer and Membership Secretary. This launch of our prospectus, and I'm sure you've all got a copy of this particular document, which will, when I get home, will be published on the World Wide Web for the whole world to see. I'm sure you've all read it, and so there's no real need to go through it in great detail. But what I'll try and do is just point out some of the main and core issues that we're putting forward, and I'll also try and predict some of the questions that that's going to come to your minds. So first of all, I'll make this presentation in a basis of trying to answer some questions. What was the role of Wye College? I studied in the late 60s, and various other alumni around us studied in various other periods of its life during the last century, and I think we'll all say much the same story. Since 1898, Wye College acted as the agricultural faculty of the University of London. For the first 3/4 of that century, it trained graduates to take on roles within the agricultural and horticultural sectors, as farmers, researchers, advisors, managers, policy makers, not only in the UK, but also overseas. Let's not forget that these were colonial and post-colonial times, and so many graduates and postgraduates moved abroad, both to the New World, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and especially to the developing world. And Wye had a great affinity to the poor of the developing world. And we now know that there are Wye graduates living in at least 63 countries, and I suspect there are many more as well living in other countries, because that's just people of the alumni association called the Agricola Club. They keep a record, and that records 63 countries, but not everybody is a member of that particular club. And if anybody does want to join, their secretary is here with us today. Moving to the actual prospectus itself, you will note on page 9 that Dr. John Peacock, another Wye alumni, observes that more graduates from Wye College contributed to improve the livelihoods of poor people than any other single college in the world. Now, I don't know quite where he got his data from, and I'm not going to dispute it, but I think it's a very powerful statement, and in itself justifies why Wye existed during the last century. Even as we started this initiative to resurrect Wye College in 2007, we knew that Wye graduates have made a great contribution to ensuring that a world population that has tripled during my lifetime had in general remained reasonably well fed. So the world food shortage of 2008 did not come as a surprise to us and merely served to reinforce our resolve. We know that global food security is even now delicately poised, and a couple of unrelated crises will bring food security to the top of the political agenda. And if we understand or believe in the science of climate change, we know that that is likely to make that more rather than less true. Moving forward to the last century, to the last quarter of the last century, the main political problem arose from overproduction. It was quite a turnabout, and the developed world took the opportunity to reassess the role of the rural areas, as using them for food production appeared by many to be a waste of this scarce resource. Of course, the many refers to the wealthy, well-fed Westerners. People in the poorer countries took a completely different view. Wye College quickly recognised the changing scene and was just about the first college to introduce environmental courses to cater for this trend. In fact, they were offering rural environmental studies before people knew what the environment actually was. It's a very fashionable word, the environment, but Wye College was there right at the very beginning of recognising this new trend. Later on, it also recognised that there was a need to upgrade the quality of management in the rural service sector, and it introduced agribusiness management degrees, and these proved extremely successful even to the dying days of Imperial College's management. Because it was a small college, Wye was able to quickly adapt to the needs of a changing rural sector and equip its graduates to take on leading roles. One of Wye's strong points was that it ensured that, to a greater or lesser extent, its students graduated with a good understanding of both sciences that underpin the rural sector, as well as a good grasp of economics and management. I'm sure that will please you, Martin, as you're an economics man. I stand to be corrected, but this was probably unique, especially within the same college and under the same roof, and it is something that we intend to reproduce in the new Wye College.